From above, the mist shrouds this magical place. It's so unique. It's the most international city in all of China. But down here on the ground, as I look at the skyline, I know it etches out a story about economic achievements witnessed in China over the past 40-plus years. The towering skyscrapers also provide a narrative of abundant business opportunities, modernization, and a development model that has come to be known as China's reform and opening up. To understand China, you have to come here to Shanghai. It's one of the largest cities in the world. It's also referred to as the Paris of the East. It's where the old meets the new, where the East meets the West. It's a perfect example of what happened after the reforms and opening up of the 1970s. And if you come here, you have to start by going into the legendary landmark, the Peace Hotel. Walk inside with me and you just feel like you're walking back in time. The Peace Hotel is one of the most prestigious hotels in Shanghai. It's historic, majestic, and a landmark on the Bund. The corridors and walls also tell a story of Shanghai in the 20th and 21st century.
和平饭店它是国家级的文物保护单位，见证了近百年的历史的变迁。国外的一些宾客来到上海，它是一个窗口，是了解中国的一个开始。
It's a hotel and city that has played a pivotal role in history. It was here in 1964 where officials from China and France met to discuss the establishment of diplomatic relations. In April of 1971, the U.S. table tennis team stayed here during their celebrated visit to China. 7 years later, China launched the reform and opening up. The new measures ushered in a golden age of opportunity. It's documented in the famous TV series Blossom Shanghai. The iconic movie director Wong Kar-wai bathed his characters in golden light. Featuring prominently in the story is the Peace Hotel. Standing against the still under construction Oriental Pearl Tower across the Huanghe River, standing as a symbol separating two distinct and important eras. And now I'm heading to the balcony, which is prominently featured in Blossom Shanghai. And for my money, there's no better view of the city. Ever since China and the U.S. established diplomatic relations in 1979, virtually every U.S. president has visited Shanghai, as have thousands of ordinary Americans, like Stephen Weathers. But in the case of Stephen, he stayed.
小伙伴们，小伙伴们，小伙伴们，我是你的老鸡 Steven。这次我带你们去重庆、魔都之行、天道湖、法轮岭。Oh wow, amazing! 100%.
Stephen is a popular online influencer these days who has experienced a lot of life in China. His first encounter with China came in 1999. He was a kid with a backpack, a student on a group trip to China. But he was impressed, so much so that he moved to Shanghai 19 years ago to begin his adventure. Stephen, how are you? Good to see you.
Welcome to Shanghai.
Oh, thanks. This is
so glad you
amazing,
came. Look at this.
Stephen, I can see why you stayed just looking at the skyline, but the rapid development in Shanghai, talk to me about what you've witnessed.
Isn't it incredible? I mean, when I first came to Shanghai, it was half of this. And so to be able to witness that, I mean, if we saw this abroad, it would take, 100 years? And I've been here almost 20 years. I've seen Shanghai and I've seen the future. And so living in the city is like living in sci-fi future.
When it comes to the future, few other cities offer more opportunities than Shanghai. Not only for the locals, but also for people from other countries like Stephen.
Originally, when I came to China, it was just a 5-year goal. I chose a small town called Luoyang, so I lived there my first year and really was just completely,
grappling.
Yes, yeah. It was a difficult year, but a wonderful year. So 5 years after that, now fast forward, I'm in Shanghai with a weekly TV show called Shanghai A to Z, and then a travel show, and then there were so many opportunities, and life was so much fun, I didn't even think about going back home.
The opportunities continue to flourish. A chance trip to Moganshan led to another business opportunity for Stephen. He teamed up with Ernest Guan, and they've been running this mountainside boutique hotel since 2017. Its clientele is mostly foreigners and Chinese from Shanghai, which is only 2 hours away by car. The hotel offers visitors a chance to experience China's rural pace of life in a bit of comfort.
So I just met with a designer, he's from Brazil. So the design, the colors are a little bit more different from what we already have, but I just want to walk you through this presentation. So this is the concept of the new building. What do you think?
It's very sexy color. Looks very nice.
Yep. I've got to ask you, what do you think about the boundary lines? Like where can we build?
Around this line is okay. We already talked to the government. The government said okay. They will push for it for us, and but not bigger. This is the size.
Stephen's no anomaly. China draws in people from around the globe, and the attraction is growing as restrictions on the investment and operation of foreign trade enterprises are reduced and the threshold for market access is lowered.
Business opportunities in China have changed over the years, and I would say 10 or 20 years ago there were a lot of large companies coming over, setting up factories. Right now there are a lot of smaller opportunities, at least the ones that I'm touching, which one would be inbound tourism. The made in China is going to change.
Growing global optimism about China's business environment is reflected in a significant rise in investment. From January to June of 2024, 26,870 new foreign invested enterprises were established nationwide. That's an increase of 14.2% year on year. Stephen and his partner are investing in phase 2 of their expansion. They've always dreamed of adding a swimming pool and spraying. Now they need official approval from several government departments before they can go ahead.
Good to see you guys as well.
你好，你好。
今天我们要跟你确定一下这个红线。
好的，好的。关于就是整个营销方面，我们度假区也可以帮我们使使劲。所以你的这些提升内容，其实也是跟我这个想法是契合的。
太好了。
As you're no doubt already aware, Stephen is constantly on the go. He's been taking the world along on his journeys. It all started with a trip to Huanghe in Jiangxi province. Stephen decided to upload videos of his travels on overseas social media platforms. He was shocked at the response. A flood of messages came in from around the globe. Stephen knew that he had the potential to harness the power of social media, and he has.
听得到吗? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now, as an influencer,
Let's go.
he has around 2 million followers.
小伙伴们，又是我，你的老伙计 Stephen. A lot of foreigners have watched my shows too online, and they'll send me questions, they'll send me feedback. They think they understand China, but they really just only see a small part, whether it's Chinese restaurants abroad or Chinatowns or China depicted in films and in media. That to me is just a small piece. 大家好，我是 Stephen， 来自美国。我采访过120多个 CEO.
Seeing is believing, and being here has helped Stephen to understand the real China.
I think one of the best ways for America and other countries to understand China is to come here. Come and visit, come and travel, experience it for yourself. When I go home to the States, I talk to a lot of people. They really don't have a full picture of China because they've never had an opportunity to come. And I think now that the doors are wide open for tourism, now is a great time to come and experience.
The greater openness is reflected in a significant increase in inbound travelers. The first half of 2024 saw over 14.6 million visitors coming to China, a year-on-year increase of over 150%. But not everyone has the chance to come, so prejudices remain. What they're missing is a glimpse of what Stephen has seen with his own eyes. Great changes and enormous development in the People's Republic of China since its founding 75 years ago. When I think of China, I think of just how progressive it is. One of the things that struck me is, you know, in the United States, you might not hear people talking about 5G or AI until recently, but I remember coming here like years ago and people were talking about that. It's very progressive, forward-thinking.
I do think so. However, a lot of the things that you see in Shanghai started in smaller towns and cities, whether it's the technology or even brands. I do think Shanghai's kind of a gateway to the world, but a lot of the success you see here started in other cities and other provinces.
For me, Shanghai is sort of like a jigsaw puzzle. The pieces seen separately don't make sense, but add them together and the result is amazing. The architecture is a real hodgepodge of both Western and Eastern cultures. Even in recent times, various buildings have sprung up, reflecting various stages of opening up and development.
一边是特别现代的，在90年代之后建成的现代的区域，另一边就是在1个多世纪前陆续建成的一些历史建筑。这样的一个对话呢，其实也让我们有一个特别好的一种感受。
To really feel the pulse of China, you need to stroll through its city streets. What you'll find is a mixture, a place to invest and work, but it's also somewhere to enjoy some leisure time and recreation. I met a group of teachers and students from Tongji University who've been documenting the course of Shanghai's development. Their city walks offer the perfect insight into life here. Hey, good to see you.
Great to meet you. Thanks so much for taking us today. You can see coffee culture here in Shanghai. What is the number of coffee shops in Shanghai?
6,000.
6,000. 6000多家. Wow, 厉害.
And the number is still increasing.
But what about a young guy like you, the changes you've seen in your lifetime?
Yes, I really love this. Waterfront, the seats.
And doesn't it remind you of London or Paris, sitting along the Thames or the Seine, and New York? 恭喜恭喜你们! Congratulations!
Lots of weddings.
Congratulations! Wedding party here. I mean, what a perfect day for a wedding. Yeah.
Excellent day for those photos.
Yes.
Along
Yeah.
the waterfront. There's no better way to end a walk like this one than with a ride up to the top of the skyscrapers for one last glimpse of this majestic city. Ah, beautiful view. It's just incredible. And you really get the breadth of this amazing city.
And that point in the future will be another CBD area. So there will be another tall building, 480 meters, in that way.
So I think in the next 20, 40 years, we're going to see a lot more of that growth.
Meanwhile, we also transform a lot of buildings' functions, maybe from the private to the public. And especially for the large public services, for the new museums, new libraries, new performance center, new big theaters. So it's a very good way that after the reform and opening up, what the government really want to do. And all these places is finally go back to serve for the people who live here.
So I come here in 10 years and look out here, it's going to look entirely different, right?
Yeah.